Welcome to Morning Mindfulness with Joe. My name is Joe Clarke. I'm a spiritual healer based in Oceanside, California. You can learn more about me and my services at my website, jdcspiritual.com. And the method I'm going to teach you today is called flowing coherence. You can find this and other helpful mindfulness methods in my book, Soul, Supportive Guidance for Healing and Awakening. Soul's available for purchase at amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, and authorhouse.com. Before we go into the method itself, let's review 4 touchstones of successful practice. These are 4 good principles to keep in mind when you're doing your mindfulness practice. The first key to success in a mindfulness practice is commitment, resolving to practice, choosing to actually do it. And by showing up today, you've done exactly that. The second touchstone is consistency, practicing regularly. I invite you to see your mindfulness practice a lot like a fitness routine. If you think about activities like jogging, swimming, and lifting weights, you benefit from those activities far more the more consistently you do them. And mindfulness practice is much the same way. Third touchstone of successful practice is flow. This has to do with the difficulty level of your practice. I encourage you, don't make your practice too easy and don't make your practice too hard. If your practice is getting too hard, if you're finding yourself straining and struggling to do it, ease up to find a more sustainable pace. And likewise, if your practice is getting too easy, if you're only giving it a fraction of your attention, use focus to help yourself find a groove. And the fourth touchstone in successful practice is friendship. Be good to yourself. If you remember nothing else I say today, let it be this. Be good to yourself. One way to succinctly summarize what I just said there is this quote from the mindfulness teacher Chula Dasa. In his book, The Mind Illuminated, he wrote that when it comes to a mindfulness practice, success comes through repetition with a relaxed attitude rather than from effortful striving. So if during your mindfulness practice you find yourself struggling with this question of how hard should I be working at this? What level of effort should I be putting in? This is a great line to come back to. Repetition with a relaxed attitude. The last preliminary matter is posture. I invite you to cultivate a healthy, comfortable posture today. Here are 4 good posture goals to keep in mind. The first is alignment. Let your posture be aligned. Notice the position of your pelvis, your spine, your neck, and your head, and let them find a natural alignment with one another. Second good posture goal is balance. One way to cultivate balance is you can gently rock yourself back and forward, to the right, and to the left, and then let your posture settle into a natural balance point between those extremes. A third good goal for posture is openness. So if you find that your posture is closed or shut in any way, invite your posture to gently open like a blossom to the light. And last good posture goal is softness. I invite you to relax, release tension, and let your posture be soft and steady. All right, so the method I'm going to teach you today is called flowing coherence. And I invite you to see this method as a way to finesse your energy back into a more neutral and balanced state. Sometimes our energy tips into extremes of one or the other. We might find our energy getting into a more depressive, down, or heavy state. And in this state, it's hard to find motivation. It's hard to focus. It's hard to sustain effort and energy. At the other extreme, sometimes we become extremely anxious, scattered, frantic. And in this state, it's hard to focus on any one thing. It's hard to set our mind to a particular task and stay with it because we feel like we're getting pulled in so many directions at once. So whether you're stuck in a depressive energy or whether you're stuck in an anxious energy, this method I'm going to teach you today will help you find a more neutral, balanced state in between. And in that more neutral and balanced state in between, it's easier for you to respond wisely to whatever arises in your life. Now, I call this method flowing coherence because it promotes heart rate coherence. Now, I learned about this concept of heart rate coherence from an organization called HeartMath. You can learn more about them at heartmath.com. What I've done here is I've pulled an excerpt from their website, which nicely explains what heart rate coherence is and how it benefits you. So I'm just going to go and read that to you now. So in the 1990s, HeartMath Institute researchers identified a physiological state called heart coherence. This is a type of coherence that occurs when our body systems, our breathing, our heart rhythms, brain rhythms, and hormonal response are in sync with one another. The HeartMath researchers also discovered that heart coherence not only affects physical processes, but also our mental and emotional balance and composure. The research showed that heart coherence can be self-generated, leading to less mental and emotional stress and more inner security and stability. In summary, heart coherence is a synchronized and empowering state, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, allowing us to become our best selves. So if you want to learn more about the science of heart coherence and to learn other methods you can use to cultivate heart coherence, I encourage you to go to heartmath.com. So to teach you the flow and coherence method, I'm going to teach it to you in 3 steps. First, we're going to determine your number. Then I'm going to have you connect with your heart. And then I'm going to have you breathe in rhythm with your number. So step 1 is determining your number. So what I invite you to do now is pull out some timer that's able to measure seconds. If you have a watch that has a second hand, that'll work. Or you could use the stopwatch app on your smartphone. And what I invite you to do is begin checking your pulse. You can check your pulse by putting your hand over your heart. Right, or checking your pulse at the throat or the wrist. And once you've synced into the pulse, start that timer. And what we want to do is we want to determine how many times your heart beats in 6 seconds. Right, so once you've connected to the pulse, go and start your timer. And don't worry about getting an exact number. Sometimes our count may be halfway between one number and the other. It's not so important. Just find a number that roughly corresponds with the number of heartbeats you're taking in a 6-second period. That's going to be your number. I want you to remember it because we're going to be using it later. Now, for any reason you weren't able to determine your number today, that's no problem at all. Simply use the number 7. It's a good one to use for this method. All right. So now that you've determined your number, what I want you to do is I want you to connect with your heart. So I invite you now to gently close your eyes, cultivate that healthy, comfortable posture, and feel the heart muscle beating in your chest. If you're able to feel the heart directly, that's great. If not, you can use those methods. Hey, welcome. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect with the heart. So to connect, what I invite you to do is feel your heart beating. If you're able to feel the heart beating directly, that's great. And if not, you could check your pulse by putting your hand over your chest or checking your pulse at the throat or the wrist. What I invite you to do is once you're connected to your heart, once you can feel that pulsing rhythm of the heartbeat, begin to silently count your heartbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just let that count run. This is a skill we're going to use in the technique today. Feel your heart and begin silently counting your heartbeats. right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put those two pieces together to do the technique itself. So to do the flow and coherence technique, what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in rhythm with your number. However many times your heart beat in that 6-second period, that's going to be your count. You're going to inhale for that count and then exhale for that count. And you're going to keep in that cycle the entire time. And remember, if you don't know what your number was, you weren't able to determine it, that's totally fine. Just use the number 7. It's a great one to use for this method. So what I invite you to do now is to cultivate that healthy and comfortable posture. Let your posture be aligned, balanced, open, and soft. Now feel the heart muscle beating in your chest. Feel free to use your hand on your heart, on your throat or your wrist to help you connect with that pulse. And once you feel connected to your pulse, I want you to begin to inhale. And as you inhale, you're going to inhale for 7 heartbeats, or whatever your number was. When you get to the top of that inhale after 7 heartbeats, you're going to switch to that exhale. And you're going to exhale for 7 heartbeats, or whatever your number was. And that's the cycle. Inhaling for 7, or whatever your number was. Exhaling for 7 heartbeats, or whatever your number was. Stay in this continuous cycle. And this method will promote heart rate coherence and bring your body into a natural state of synchronicity. Let's go ahead and do it now. We'll practice this method for about 7 minutes today. Inhale for those heartbeats. Exhale for those heartbeats. Nice job. Keep going. Breathe in rhythm with your heart. Use your heart as the counter. Good. Keep going. Flowing coherence. Inhale for your number and exhale for your number, using your heart as the counter. A little over halfway now. Breathe in a smooth cycle. Got about 1 minute left. Good. Go and do one more full cycle. All right. Nicely done. I invite you to pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a squeeze if that feels right. You've done yourself a great service today by engaging in this practice. You set yourself up for success. Wish you good luck and good fortune. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.